What years were you in VP5?
My name is Ernest Mulich. I'm known by Nick. That's my middle name. And I joined VP5 in 1961 as an 82. And after going through VP30 for air crew training, I joined the squadron. And in a month or so, I was placed on Flight Crew 6, which became Flight Crew 11 in July. We trained for cold weather operations, and sometime in November we deployed to Iceland. We flew the normal patrols in Iceland and flew Liberty runs over to Bodo, Norway, and Denmark and Scotland, things like that. Flew a lot of ice pack patrols, and crew 3 was in Rhoda. Commander Kozak had been selected as XO of the squadron, and so when the change of command took place in January, around the first of the year, Commander Huber, who was the officer in charge in Iceland, became commanding officer, and he transferred down to Rhoda and took his crew with him, which became Crew 1. Commander Kozak's crew, which was Crew 3, they took his slot in Iceland as Crew 7. Crew 7 came to Iceland, flew one area familiarization flight, and then they were placed online as able to fly ice pack patrols. Ice pack patrols were generally very routine. Seldom did you ever have any problems. You weren't down, you didn't have to be down low on ice pack patrols. You generally flew them at 2,500 feet. And they were mostly just boring holes in the sky and taking pictures of the ice flow as it came down off the coast of Greenland. I don't honestly know why we were flying ice pack patrols in January. I don't think there was that much ice movement, but we still flew them. There was a tremendous amount of icebergs out there. Yeah, some of them were fairly tall. They were 700-800 feet. Anyway, Crew 7 took their first ice pack patrol, and later on, I don't know if it was the day or the evening, the word came up that they were not getting position reports for Crew 7, and that they may have to start launching SAR crews, that's search and rescue. So, of course, there was a lot of excitement during the evening. A lot of people probably didn't get much sleep. I don't recall exactly what I'd done. I know that everybody was extremely concerned that we had been up there, and here was a crew that had just got there, just getting, they really hadn't got their feet wet and flying in cold weather yet. So I and Crew 11, we all got up at probably 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning and went down and got the airplane ready, and probably, I don't recall exact times, but probably launched, I'm guessing, somewhere around 7, 8 o'clock, something like that, because it really didn't do any good to go out, because we only had about 4 hours of daylight, and it truly wasn't real daylight. About the brightest that it got was a haze, kind of like a cloudy day down here, and you only had about 4 hours of that from about 10 o'clock in the morning to 2 in the afternoon. But anyway, we proceeded up hoping that if there was somebody, if somebody heard the airplane, they would light a flare or something. We really thought that flying the ice pack patrol, that they would either be on the ice pack or they would be in the water. We knew we had a few, I think they were 800 or 900 foot icebergs up there. And we really couldn't imagine them being down at 800, 900 feet for the simple reason that the ice pack patrol is generally flown, if I recall, 2,500, 3,000 feet, depending on what your ceilings are. As it turned out, I don't know if I recall if it was the first or second day that we were out there, we got a real break as far as visibility goes because the sun was so bright. We had a real nice day. Well, the first day we went out, the storm was still on. They had got 60 feet of snow, predicted 60 feet of snow the day that the airplane was lost. So I think maybe, if I recall, I don't know, maybe this is rumor, it could be truth, that possibly they had sent back position reports and stated they were flying in heavy snowstorms and heavy snow. I don't know, like I said, I don't know if that's rumor or truth. Seems like to me in the back of my mind that later on there was comments made about that they flew the whole patrol in a heavy snowstorm. Anyway, the second day, that snowstorm was still out there the first day. It was very, very, visibility was very bad. Second day we went out, it was beautiful. I mean, the sun was shining, plenty of daylight, but we couldn't find anything. And I don't remember, this friend of mine sitting around here, Marvin Colgan, I think it was a crew 10 that found what they thought was polar bear tracks, but they really wasn't sure. They said, that's possibly human tracks. And we were basically looking for, we know since they had so much snow that if the airplane had crashed and burned, there would still be a black spot on the snow because the snow would have melted around the airplane unless the snow had put the fire out. So we were really looking for black traces on the snow where the airplane had hit the ice pack. Anyway, we did some work with those tracks. I know the next day after Crew 10 reported the tracks and took the pictures of them, we went up and dropped our hydraulic fluid came in a gallon can that was painted red. So the photo intelligence guy says, if you can get this can in anywhere near one of the tracks, so I can determine the physical size of the track, I can determine if it's a polar bear or a human track. So we went up and we flew pretty low that day, and we got the can. We thought we had the can real close to the track, and we did. We came back and got a picture of the can and the footprints in the snow. And he basically ruled out human. He said, it's the foot track. The tracks that you guys are reporting looks more like polar bear than human tracks would look. So I think that around the fourth to fifth day, we called the search off and said that if they were out there, the weather being what it was, they more than likely couldn't have survived anyway. And we had so many planes flying on them that if they were in fact on the ice pack somewhere, they would have certainly heard the airplanes and should have been able to fire flares. So the patrols were called off, and of course every time we flew an ice pack patrol, and we were briefed that, hey, don't forget Crew 7. We still could find them. So we looked until we came back in April. Every time we flew an ice pack, we always kept an eye out looking for Crew 7. Got back to Jacksonville. Of course, we no more got to Jackson. We were back in Jackson, I guess, a month and a half, and then we were involved in the Cuban crisis. We ran pretty heavy and pretty hard through that, all the way through until February of '63, and they released the people who released us from when the Russians started turning around and going back with the missiles. All of us was on a year extension. So they dropped our year extensions, and my enlistment came up, and I got out of the Navy and went to work for TWA. Came back in the Navy in '65 and was in Moffitt, California in 1967, transitioning VP-50 from P5Ms to P3s. The word came through that they had found the crew, and that I went up and looked through the records and got the reports on it. Somebody directed me on how to find the reports in the Navy communication stuff, and the report stated that they had recovered the remains of Crew 7, and they were all had been recovered, and that they could not identify 5 of the people. So we didn't have much that appeared that the airplane just simply flew into a snowbank on a plateau in the glacier. And I think that if I recall, that snowbank is 2,300 feet, which is probably about the altitude that they would have been flying on their ice pack. So although from what I read, the direction of the airplane was on a northeasterly direction, if I recall what the report said, and the airplane should not have been flying a northeasterly direction. It should have been flying more or less a north and south direction, because the ice pack pretty much ran north and south. So we flew pretty much on the northern patrol all the way out. Anyway, that pretty much rounds it up for me until here recently in the last 3 years. Bob Petway contacted me when we were planning the last reunion in 2002. He contacted me about 9 months before the reunion and told me all he had found out and started sending me emails. So we've been working. I've written a couple letters to CNO. and you get a nice response that, hey, yeah, we acknowledge it. We received your letter. However, at this time, we have no funds to recover these remains. So it's kind of, I think our government has enough money to go up and get these guys, and I think it would give us a lot of peace to know that they've been treated like they should have been treated. I would love. They were good fellowship mates of ours, and we really loved to have them when they got up to Iceland. I mean, it was a new blood for us because we'd been separated for several months, and it was kind of like the old family. We lost part of the family, but another piece of the family came in and replaced them. And it would mean a lot to me to see that they get their proper due. So, and that's about it for me.